Wrestling fans united. This is the Wrestling Old Head, and just got done listening to CM Punk's interview with Ariel Hawani. A lot to talk about, but I'm not going to take up too much of your time. Before I get into my thoughts, like, comment, and subscribe. I love the comments I'm getting so far. Let's keep this community growing. I'd like to hear your thoughts on everything going forward because your voice is just as big as mine, is just as big as CM Punk's, is just as big as anybody in the wrestling community, and I want to hear it. I got a lot to talk about with this interview, but one of the things that I did want to mention is that CM Punk got a great mind. I mean, there's only a handful of guys off the top of my head that I could listen talk about wrestling for hours, and some of y'all are going to look at me crazy. Some of you guys are going to be screaming when you hear it, like, what? But I mean, Raven, Kevin Nash, Roddy Piper, Steve Austin, Paul Heyman, um, and those are just off the top of my head. I could listen to those guys talk about wrestling for hours. And CM Punk is in that category. I could listen to him talk about wrestling for hours. And I'm going to try and be as impartial as I possibly can. I know there's going to be a lot of tribalism when the smoke settles from this whole interview, but I really feel um, that this was very important. Punk drops another pipe bomb. And what he had to say was very interesting on both sides of the coin. His thoughts on the Vince McMahon situation, his thoughts on AEW. It's an interesting thought. One thing that I will say, he's going to be a great promoter. He's going to be a great booker. He's going to be a great wrestling owner if he is inclined to do so. If that's what he wants to do going forward, he's going to be great at it because he's got the mind for it. It's always running. That's why I never thought he would ever leave wrestling because he can't turn that off. That's something that, that's a gift. Um, as far as the stuff with AEW and what Tony Khan is doing behind the scenes, that's his perspective. And, I'd like to hear what Kenny Omega thinks. I'd like to hear what the Young Bucks think. Heck, I'd like to even hear what Christopher Daniels even thinks, what their side of the story is. Tony Khan even, I don't know if we're ever going to get a chance to hear their side. So for only hearing one side of the story, just CM Punk's side of the story, he's very open to speaking about it. It's very interesting, for a company that's as young as AEW to be going through these problems. If these are the issues, if this is what's going on, it's pretty interesting, if I do say so myself. And hopefully, if those things are going on, and these are a way for them as a company as a whole, to course correct and right the ship. And that's, like I said, if those are the things that are happening, because like I said, we're only hearing one side of the story. Big CM Punk fan. I'm a big CM Punk fan. Always have been. He always has a way with words. He knows how to speak his mind. He's very honest. That much I will say. But hey, he's gonna speak his mind, and the world is gonna talk about it. I think more people are gonna be talking about this interview after it's all said and done. Then people are probably going to be talking about WrestleMania, and that says a lot about CM Punk's voice. He is the voice of the voiceless. I will say it was really interesting to hear what he had to say about Vince McMahon, especially. I thought that was very honest. Yeah, I'm not going to say who he compared the scenario to because he did mention some other names, but you guys listen to it. You guys let me know what you think. I didn't want to say that he was comparing necessarily, but he did mention some interesting names in conjunction based on where his head was at a certain time. I know I'm really glossing over it, but if you go back and listen to it, if you know, you know. I will say that was a very interesting comparison. Also, I like that he talked about some of his friends that he made along the way, because it is important to know he walked into a very young locker room, and he did a lot to speak about those young guys. He also made a comment about not getting them in any further trouble, which I thought was a very interesting thing. Haven't seen some of those guys on television, so I wonder what that was about. I'm not casting any, rumors or innuendo or anything like that. I'm not a journalist. I'm a fan first and foremost, and I'm an old head. I liked what he talked about with wrestling and with psychology. I liked what he talked about with independent wrestling. These are the things that, really don't. He did peel back the curtain, and I know he doesn't like peeling back the curtain, but he peeled back the curtain, and it was very interesting what he had to say. I will say, generally, it was a very entertaining interview. I came out of it with a lot of questions, but I came out of it really pumped to see what he's going to do once he comes back from his injury, and just generally what he's going to do going forward. I love that he's with NXT backstage a lot, because that's going to be very important for him to be available for some of the younger guys and girls to get a lot of information and to help mold them for the future. So that was really interesting. All in all, if you haven't seen the interview, I implore you, check it out. Let me know what you think about it. I'd like to further discuss it, but I don't want to take up all you guys' time. There's a lot of other podcasts and a lot of other journalists and a lot of other people that are going to be talking about it. I just wanted to put my 2 cents out there. I didn't want to let you guys down. I said that in my short that I wanted to have a full review of this. But like I said, there's so many other places that are going to be talking about it. I'm just so glad that you got a chance to listen to me and sit here and talk about this. And I hope that we can continue this discussion in the comments. I'd love to talk to you. I answer all questions, all comments. Let me know what you think about it, and let me know if you have any other questions about what I think. I don't hold anything back. I will be as transparent as I possibly can. This is where wrestling fans unite. The wrestling old head here, you have opened the portal, you have entered the vortex. Wrestling fans, you stay united.